Hi guys, Bowden here. The developers of ArmA 3 have just finished a live stream showing off the new beta for ArmA 3. So I'll just run through a few of the things they mentioned and a few of the new features you can look forward to in the ArmA 3 beta. Firstly, let's look at the weapons. They showed their new 3D scopes, which is basically a graphical enhancement to all of the guns. So any gun with a scope basically, it's got a nice 3D effect now, which adds a lot of depth and a lot of realism to the guns. In terms of actual weapons, they showed a new machine gun called a Zephyr. It fires 7.62 rounds and it's a machine gun, so that looks pretty cool, and it's also got a grenade launcher on it. They also showed a new pistol called the ACP-C2, and finally a new anti-air launcher called a Titan, where they did a nice little demonstration blowing up a helicopter. So let's move on to vehicles. They showed a few of them. One was called a Strider, which is actually going to be for a new faction. They've finally brought in an independent faction. They've just called it the Green Army at the moment, but they had a Strider vehicle which is similar to the armoured vehicles that Blue 4 and Op 4 use, and they also showed a new transporter which I believe is for all the factions, called the HEMT or HEMTT transporter. Now, I don't know about you, but I do think this looks a lot like one of the transporters in the Dark Knight. I think it's the Dark Knight Rises where they've got these bigger transporters, so it is kind of cool to see. And that's they brought that in at this point because they're starting to think about their new map, and they're gonna, you're gonna want to transport many troops across long distances. So that's mainly what it's going to be used for. I don't think there was a weapon on it, but it is purely a transporter. They also showed two new helicopters, one being the RAH-88 Komachi, which is a combat chopper. Looks like it's got some stealthy features in terms of the bodywork, and that's going to have some guns on it. It had a 20mm Gatling cannon, and it also had some rockets on it as well. The other helicopter they showed was the Mi-48, and that's the helicopter he shot down with the new launcher, the Titan. In terms of actually new features which will affect the gameplay and mission making, they've introduced a stance indicator, which a lot of people were asking for in the forums and also on their feedback website. So basically that's in the top right corner. It will show you what your current stance is and just help you out, because his reasoning for it in terms of realism is that if you were in real life, you know how you're stood just through intuition basically. So they're going to have a stance indicator, which is pretty cool. Like I said, a lot of people have asked for it, so it's good to see them listening to their audience, or to their community even. They're also introducing a Steam button on the ArmA editor. What this basically means is, if you've made a mission and you want to share it with the public, traditionally you'd have to go on Armaholic or a similar website and save it onto there and have people download it. But with the new Steam button, you can publish it to either private, so just to yourself, or you can publish it with friends, or you can publish it to the entire public, so everyone can try out your mission and try and beat it. One of the advantages of this, apart from obviously accessibility, because ArmA's on Steam, everyone who has ArmA 3 has access to your mission if you've made it public, basically, as opposed to Armaholic where, I don't know, it just takes a bit more searching and a lot of people don't have time for that sort of thing. One of the other good things about this is that it'll auto-update. So again, going back to Armaholic, if you saved a mission on there and then you updated the mission, people would have to go onto Armaholic and download the brand new version every time you updated it. Whereas with Steam, every time you launch ArmA, if there's any updates for any of the missions you've downloaded, it'll just auto update and it's a lot easier. Another new feature that they mentioned, which won't be in the beta, but they are listening and they are developing it, is some anti-stream sniping measures. Obviously this is for only a small number of people, but it's still a good feature. So basically they'll have an option where it'll say enable stream safing, and that means it won't show your name or it won't show anyone else's name in your team if you like mouse wheel over, or if you're checking your inventory, something like that. So again, it's something a lot of people have been asking for, and it's good to see the developers are listening to us. A few final words then. So one thing they did mention is the new ArmA 3 map Altis is still in development, and the plan to release it around basically when they have the full release of the game, which will be, I think it's Q3 2013. They did mention that they might release it incrementally on the development version of ArmA 3. This isn't confirmed yet, but that'll just be a chance to, obviously they need to check for bugs. It's a massive map, it's going to be bigger than Chernarus, so they need to, there'll be a lot of bugs there. So releasing it to the public would be a good thing, just to make sure once it's fully released it's all clear of bugs. So when is it all going to be released? Well, I did mention that they're concentrating on the E3 build of ArmA 3, so this is the one they're going to show to all the journalists, few developers and any of the general public who go to E3. So there'll be a playable version at E3, and the actual beta should be out 2 to 3 weeks after E3, so that's going to be near the end of June, and I'm starting to wonder, will that clash with DayZ standalone? That'd be interesting to know. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed the video. For those of you out there who didn't catch the stream, a lot of interesting stuff there. It's going well, looks like they're really listening to the community and they're developing their game to the maximum of their potential. Look forward to that in the end of June, or middle of June, and hope you've all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all very soon.